Rob and Janelle, for you two that are on here live, we're going through the takeaways from the acquisition scaling workshop. Oh, we got Eric joining. Um, the scaling workshop that Carlee and I went to. This is probably 4 or 5 months ago now. What's up, Eric? How you doing?
It was at the end of April that we went.
End of April. Gotcha. And then we're going back in beginning of October. So I'm looking back over all the notes of the stuff that we learned at this. So this is selfishly kind of a recap for Carlee and I, but also a getting prepped for us going back there in October. But definitely a recap. We want to share everything that we kind of got from that workshop, everything they covered. So quick background. I know you guys on here, Janelle, I'm not sure if you know or not, but acquisition.com is a private equity company. Alex and Layla Homorzi are the owners of this. And we went to a workshop that they put on. And there were about 120 business owners in the room, everybody paying $5,000 for the tickets. It was a pretty high level group of people that were in there. And the caliber of people was really interesting. There were some people in there that were doing several $100,000 a year in sales that were just starting their businesses. And then there were people that were doing 10 to $20 million in profit per year that were running large, good sized businesses that were making a ton of money. So there's a lot of different stuff in there. I'm going to go kind of quickly through this because we have a couple different bullet points, but these are the major takeaways. So I've got a few. Carlee has a few on marketing. And then I have a huge list of other things that I could talk about with whatever extra time we have. So for those that are on, Eric, Rob, Janelle, if you guys want to jump in at any point on these, so we don't just blow through new Q&A at the end, just holler and ask questions. Maybe raise your hand so we're a little bit more organized, whatever. But anyway, the first takeaway that I had through this, which was this was the big gut punch for me personally, was just sell way, way, way more. I listened to a lot of Alex Hormozi. This actually came from Layla. Was if you're not doing $1 million a month in revenue, you're just you're not even big enough to be worried about anything other than you need to sell more. And that was just so, again, this was room of business owners, but this was just so wow, we're worried about stupid shit. And all we really need to worry about is growing the business faster. Not even faster, but just growing the business to be bigger. That was one of the absolute number one takeaways for me. And comparing this for real estate agents as well too, is most agents I know aren't selling as many houses as they want to, and anywhere near it usually. Even the people that I know that are the top producing agents that are selling, like Eric sells a ton of real estate. And I know he probably feels the same way, at least the last time I talked to him as well too, is like, how can I be doing more? I need to be doing more. And the questions that it made me ask, or that it makes you think about when you're talking about how do I do 10 times more than I'm currently doing, is way different than how do I sell 2 more houses a year so that I can hit my goal. Like the solutions you're going to come up with when you're thinking about 10xing something are just wildly different than if you are just looking to get a little bit further ahead. That was number one on here. Number two is the kind of the framework that they run by is just doing the basics better everywhere. So Alex went through and did a case study on, I don't know, 3 or 4 different businesses that they have invested in. And the biggest takeaway for me when he was going through these different case studies is he looked at the business that was doing well. These are businesses that were already profiting multiple millions of dollars per year. And they just went through and at the most basic levels improved the basics. From when a lead came in, instead of calling them within 30 minutes, making sure they were called within 5 minutes. When they were talking to a consumer, that the salespeople were actually following the phone script. When they were setting appointments, they weren't setting them up for 2 weeks in advance. They were setting them up for 2 days in advance. When they were following up, they'd have somebody making sure that the person's actually going to show up for the appointment. Just all of the little tiny basic things was what made a huge difference on all of these businesses. Of all the 4 case studies, there was not one example that he gave that was a revolutionary, life changing impact at all. It was literally just train the salespeople to be better salespeople, train the customer service to be better customer service, train the accounting people to make sure they're not screwing anything up. It was very, very, very much do the basics better everywhere. I mean, and like everywhere. Um, which kind of leads into, I'll talk about for real estate agents in general is like, I have this list of stuff. The stuff on the bottom left is from scripting to setting clear next steps to lead follow up to negotiating the contracts to deal management. We talked about this a little bit last week, which plows into one of these points on here is finding the, let me just see if it's number, I think it is number 3. Oh, and then this portion over here as well too was practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. My football coach in high school used to say this as well too. If you practice wrong every single time, you're going to do it wrong in the game as well too. I should have reordered these, but number 3, this is so relevant right now in the real estate space. Is not this is probably Carlee's biggest takeaway that was not marketing related. Not nearly enough businesses raise their prices enough. Warren Buffett's quote on here is price is what you pay, value is what you get. Dan Kennedy famously said there's no strategic advantage to being second cheapest. This could not be more relevant right now in the business. To our team, Rob, Janelle, you probably saw this, but of the agents that we have writing offers this last 2 weeks, really this last 10, 14 days, we have had half of the agents have already bought into the process of getting agreements signed and are submitting offers with their buyer broker agreement and submitting at a higher fee than what's offered in the MLS. So I think, I don't know, if I was to guess, 4 out of the last 10 deals that we've done, agents have given themselves a 25% raise by negotiating for the fee that they're charging, not for what the seller's agent's offering or what the seller's offering in the MLS. So these are agents that are brand new in the business. Some are experienced, but the majority of these agents doing this are brand new in the business, getting a 25% raise because they are asking for that higher price. And their consumers are willing to pay it, which for some experienced agents is really surprising. But I don't think it is. I really don't think it's surprising. So how I frame this conversation, we'll kind of walk through this as well too, is when you charge cheaper prices, there's several different things that happen. Is one, you're attracting better customers when you charge higher prices, right? If you're the person who's the cheapest is never a pleasant person to work with, in my experience, ever in the history of ever. The other thing that it does is you can spend way more money on advertising if you make more money per deal. So if you're consuming, like Rob and I were talking about an agent the other day, whenever that was, about an agent that's happy to get 1% on deals and, is super stoked to be a luxury agent doing $3-4 million deals. And if you're charging 1%, the same as doing $1 million deal versus a normal commission. So that person has to do just as many deals at a higher price point. That's harder as somebody that's at a normal price point charging a standard fee. And that person's going after an easier market that's making the same as this luxury agent. They are able to spend way more money to outspend the competition. That's number one. Also, too, if you make more money, you can now offer more stuff. This is something that's super prevalent in the brokerage industry. There's a lot of brokerages out there that are 100% brokerages. They don't collect any commission. They collect a $500 transaction fee and they hope to God you use their ancillary services and they don't make any money, right? Like Eric's smiling because he knows that business very well. And they can't offer anything, right? They can't offer anything because they don't make any money versus teams and brokerages that have lower splits for the agents can offer way more, which gives in my obviously biased personal opinion, a way better outcome for everybody is if we're able to offer more to our agents. But on the same point, it's the same thing for consumers, right? If you're barely scraping by making 1% on a deal, you can't fix problems for them. You can't go back after the fact. You can't spend more money on advertising. You can't deliver a better service. You can't hire that assistant because you're not making enough money. Um, and the last thing is you get to work with fewer people and still make more money. I think that's the biggest thing. And you get to work with the people that you actually want to work with. Is if I look back in 500 closed deals in the last 4 years, is everybody that we've given a steep discount to has been a problem. Almost every single person. Almost every single person that has paid the most money was the easiest deal of all time. Like almost always. So if you just, like I put it this way, is if you could just deal with one of these two people always, which one are you going to choose? The cheapest person always, or the person who wants the best service but's also willing to pay for it? And in my experience, the cheapest person also wants the best service. They just don't want to pay for it. They'll act like they don't care about it and then want the entire world in return. So if you have higher prices, you're never going to work with the super cheap people, and you're only going to work with the people that want the best service. And obviously, if you have to negotiate your fee, negotiate it, right? That's not what I'm saying. But early in this conversation of buyer's agency changing, there's a lot of people talking about discount models, discount services, and all that. And myself being um, thinking through all of the different options, I just look strictly at the math of what would have to happen to the service the consumer gets if we were to charge a flat fee, right? In our market, if we were to charge a flat, let's just say our average price point's $1 million, average commission's 2.5, so 25,000. If we were to have to charge 10 for the same service, there'd have to be a lot of stuff we'd have to cut off out of what we offer to our customers, period. And at the end of the day, is like, do people actually want that? Do they want a watered down service? And I personally don't think they're going to. We'll see. Obviously, we're very early in this, but here's an example here as well too. This is the visual of you can work with fewer customers and make more money. Agent number one charges 1% commission, does 24 deals at $1 million, and makes 250,000 GCI. Agent number two charges 2.5%. This agent has to do 10 deals to make more money than the other agent does to make the same amount of money. All right, so agent number one needs to do 24 deals. Agent number two only has to do 10 to make more money. So doing less than, doing less than half of the work for the same money is the reality. It also just means that if agent number two converts at the same rate as agent number one, they just make so much more money, and they can deliver so much more value to the customer. They can reinvest so much more money into advertising. They can do all of these different things. And I think the real example is right now that I'm seeing in our business is our fee, our average commission on the buy side has been 2.25 for 4 years. And I think it's going to go up. I don't think it's going to go down from here. From what I've seen of our brand new agents to the business, first year in the business, they're getting buyer broker agreement signed. They are submitting offers with asking for 2.5% from the seller. They're almost all getting accepted. And when they're not, the buyers are willing to pay that extra 0.5%, 0.25%, whatever. So if we're submitting an offer with a 2%, they're offering 2%. This is right now. They're offering 2%. And our agents are getting 2.5%. They're giving themselves a 25% pay raise. And I say this to our agents is like, would you guys like me to raise splits by 25%? Like how we'd be doing backflips if we were to do that. And you can do the same thing by just charging the extra 0.5%. So anyway, that was that. And then this goes back to what I was going to talk about was finding the constraint in the business. So let me go back really quick to doing the basics better. So if I was to reorder this now that we've decompressed everything we've talked about, is find the constraint of the business, which we talked about last week on a recorded thing. So it's in the community. You should watch that. Once you've found the constraint in the business, then attack it with doing the basics better. That is the reality of what we really came through with this. The framework that they think through this with is more, better, new, and it's always more and better. right? More follow-up attempts, more touches, more leads, more whatever, more content. And if you absolutely cannot do more of it, then you do it better. Right? If you're totally maxed, like if Carlee's maxed out on the content that we're pumping out, then we can make it better. But we have to find out what even works. And if before we were like, this is a good example, is Carlee obviously being our marketing manager. We're talking about we pivoted this quarter to content after coming from this workshop. Which one is what Carlee's best at is content brand. And two is we've what 5x the amount of content that we're putting out, Carlee, on my side at least.
I mean, at least I would say probably 7x, because we were posting like once a week before, and now we're posting 5 to 7, and we'll continue to grow that as we're getting used to it and getting better at it. And the goal is to post 21 times a week, but you can't go from 0 to 21. And I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. And just in the last, I mean, what has it been, 45 days or so? Just in the last 45 days, posting 7 times more content, the feedback loop has been unbelievably fast where Carlee's like, oh, no, don't do that. Like, even me filming right here isn't great all the time. Like, I mean, we just know so much faster. So whereas before it took a year to be like, I think this is what people like. And in 45 days, we're like, oh, no. We were totally wrong. This is what people are liking. And that is like the definition of we still probably don't need to do better. Like we have an idea of what to do better, but we don't think we have enough feedback, even in 45 days, 7 times more than we were doing before. And this is for salespeople. It's like, I asked somebody to do a strategy session and they said no. It's like, well, how many people did you ask? 1. It's like, well, okay. Maybe we should ask some more people. Or like my favorite is I don't feel comfortable doing a strategy session. So it's like, how many have you done in the last 45 days? 0. How many times have you practiced it? 2. It's like, okay, yeah, of course you haven't, right? You need to do it more of it almost always before you even think about doing it better. And then new is like, no, for nobody that I know, do we really need to start doing new? It is you need to do more of what you're already doing and then do it better. And they talk about that a lot, was like, do not even think about doing anything. If you paid money to come to this workshop, you do not need to do anything new. That was kind of that was like very, very clear what they were trying to make as far as a point. Okay. That's me. So anybody have any questions on the stuff that I talked about before I'm going to give Carlee the reins? And then I have a whole bunch more I can talk about.
I just have one more point. During Alex and Layla, I believe, they passed around like one of those speaker boxes for people to ask. Say what, 20 people plus ask questions. And every single time somebody asked to do something new, they were told not to do it. They were just told like to post more, to do this, to fire somebody, which I guess would be new. But besides that, it was just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it was do what you already know you should be doing more of. Because you know your business better than anybody. That's a good point. All right, Carlee, just tell me when you want me to click.
All right. I think my biggest takeaway was that you should be focusing on what you're good at, and I'll get into my takeaways, but this is like the overall takeaway. Something that is probably extremely common in a big company like them. Their marketing department split between paid ads, media buying, and then brand. And for so long, Christian and I were spreading ourselves thin, trying to do both, not doing either of them good. And both the content and brand director and the media buying director told us you need to stop doing paid ads and hire somebody to do it, because you guys aren't the person to be doing that. Obviously, when you're a real estate agent, you might not be paying somebody to do any sort of marketing for you or advertising or whatever you need help with. But if you're spreading yourself thin with like 4 different pillars, Jamie's a really good example on our team, Jamie Andrews. She, for so long, was like, I want to farm, I want to do social media, I want to do YouTube. And when we had our yearly business planning with her, Christian and I were fighting with her to not do YouTube and to continue to double down on her farm, which she ended up doing. And for those of you guys who know, her farm has been so successful for her this year. So, and that's what she's good at. She's good at talking to people. She's not great at social media. She's not great at technology. So, like, why focus on that and why pull your hair out when you're so good at getting in front of people, knocking on doors, throwing events, talking to your neighborhood, being the mayor? And it was a huge shift for her. So I just want to say that's like my number one takeaway. If you're spreading yourself thin, but you're like cold calling and you're good at it, focus on that. Or whatever your main pillar is that you enjoy and that you're good at. But I think my first takeaway was how to build a personal brand. So I loved this messaging. I don't remember who said it, but they told us to look at our competitors, like your competitors' customers and what they're complaining about, and flip it and build your branding and your business around that to solve that customer's problem. So if you're following somebody on Instagram who's a realtor, or YouTube, where you look at their Google reviews and they all have the same complaint, try to flip that, make it a positive, say you're solving that for the customer, and build your personal brand around that. I know Onyx Homes was built around solving somebody's problem, is that a lot of people in real estate only get that luxury service when they're buying a luxury home. Our goal was everybody gets the same service. It's going to be the best and most luxury as possible. And I'm sure you could think of a billion other brands that have done the same thing, but just trying to build how you're working to solve people's problems that other people in this space aren't doing. And then the next one is creating content. So I talk about this a lot, obviously, because that's what most of my job is. But a lot of people force themselves to make content. Even like the brand and content director, Caleb, for acquisition.com. Actually, I think he works for Layla. He was like, if you don't like being on camera, or your agents don't like being on camera, or whoever he was talking to, he's like, don't do it. Don't force yourself. You can see it, but you need to find a content replacement. So I know, just to shout out Rob, he's on here. He's been doing really great home tours. So if he doesn't like to be on camera filming himself, he's flipped the camera around and created faceless content, which is awesome. Something that does really well for Christian and Onyx Homes is our written content. I think that's probably where we get the best feedback, is both of our newsletters. So if you don't like to film, if you don't like to film yourself, if you're not going on enough home tours, start writing, post it on Facebook, post it on LinkedIn. And if you go to Christian's Instagram, you can see how we put writing on Instagram through stories, as well as just static posts, just putting that text within our posts. And I think this has really already happened in so much as meta changing targeting tactics, but you see it all over social media right now, especially on TikTok, is that they're using AI to figure out who the audience of the video should be. So sure, your caption and your hashtags are going to help, but if you're trying to sell a home in Irvine, let's say, and you had something in your video that pointed out Irvine, it was the Irvine sign, it was the spectrum, whatever it was, that's going to be a huge shout to whatever algorithm you're on, whether that's Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, YouTube, and it's going to show them, okay, this is in Irvine. We should show this to people who live in Irvine. I know I live in Santa Ana. All of a sudden, I've started getting just a bunch of Santa Ana stuff, and that's solely off my location and what their videos are about. So creating content tactfully, and then also doing what you like and what you're good at. Obviously, you're not going to like everything, but if you like it, you're probably good at it. And continuing to just post, like we said, post more. A lot of people on our team come to me and they're like, I want to be posting on Instagram 7 days plus a week. And I'm like, okay, how many times are you posting now? And they're like, 0. Okay, well, it's going to take a while to get to 7. So let's try posting 1. And usually you post 1, then 2 weeks later, I'm going to try 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to build up to it would be my biggest piece of advice. If you go 0 to 100, you're probably going to drop the ball somewhere. And a lot of people quit social media when they're doing that because they're posting 7 times a week and they don't get a lead. I don't know if I have another slide, Christian.
I think so.
So this is something using different platforms for different audiences. This is something that I'm learning right now. Is like Christian mentioned, we started posting in the past 45 days a lot more content. And I have each platform and what content is performing well and where people are liking content. So this is on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And it's different across the board. There's a different audience. They like different content. They like different topics. So now for this next month, I know we're going to do videos for each or content for each platform now instead of just overarching content and pushing it all out, all the same content all across the same platform. So for example, on LinkedIn, which this probably isn't shocking to anybody, people are liking how Christian built Onyx homes, the tech we use, information like that. On social or on Instagram, people are liking agent case studies. A lot of real estate agents follow Christian, so they're probably liking what they're seeing, how they can grow. And it really is so different on each platform. So if you're posting the same thing on each platform, start posting more and seeing what's performing on each platform. And then storytelling. This was a big takeaway, which it's not something we've completely done, but is case studies. So I was talking to Caleb, who is the director of brand at acquisition.com, and we were seeing like what we should do for content. And he said on our Onyx Homes content, it should all be case studies. This is a great takeaway for a real estate agent. I probably say this to our team once a month, if not more than that. When you're posting on Instagram, when you're posting on TikTok, when you're posting on Facebook, wherever you're posting, we're just going to use Instagram for this example, use a caption that tells a story. So many people just post, just listed, just sold, and have no story behind it. When you add that story, this person's moving from NorCal. They've been searching with me for 6 months. I've been doing video tours for them. They found their dream home. It's here. We got it for this. It's really a lot more compelling. And as a consumer, it allows them to relate to it. So if I was looking in NorCal and I followed Christian and he posted that whole story, I would say, oh, that's great. Like, I want Christian to be my realtor, but I didn't know if that was possible, that he could do video tours. So any sort of storytelling is going to help you stand out. And then I already talked about this with the types of marketing, paid ads and content brand marketing. Just whoever's doing that, which is you, focus on, I would say if I was you, I'd focus on content and brand marketing. And if you're doing paid ads, hire Sierra to do it, hire YLOPO, hire Driven Leads, hire somebody else to do that. Unless if you're a paid media expert, which most people aren't. I would never focus on running my own paid ads because Christian and I have done it and it's a pain, and it's already gotten better since we've hired the right agency. I don't know if I have any more.
That's it. Nope. That's it on slides. Let's go ahead. Let's just open up. Let's do Q&A. I've got a lot of other stuff I can share. But let's just dive into it. What thoughts, questions, anything you guys have, or specific things you want us to go deeper on as well too. And I know it's hard for it was hard for us as well too to relate to a lot of these different things because we were a small business in this room, and obviously as a real estate agent running your own individual business. A lot of these concepts are, I mean, the whole point of these workshops is, I'm looking through the workbook they gave us, is like to how to exit and sell your business for multi-millions of dollars. Like that's really what they're trying to get to. But the principles still relate, even on an individual salesperson level, newer in the business, that how they grow businesses is no different. So, yeah, I'll just open up. Whoever wants to holler out. Eric, you got something?
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks for doing this. Y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you.
Carlee, good job. That was good. I appreciate that very much. It's always nice to not have to pay 10 grand to go to one of these workshops when you guys dole this out for free. I appreciate that. What's your objective in getting us up to speed here?
This one specifically is selfish because Carlee and I are going back in October, and we wanted to make sure that we actually went through our notes. We said, what better way to do it, honestly, than talking through these things, answering questions that come up, and sharing different perspectives? Because we wanted to look back and see, like, okay, of all the notes that we took, paid all that, to your point, paid all that money for, what did we actually do? That is the actual answer. And we always like sharing free value too, of course.
No, I love that. And I was going to point that out. You know, I'm a big go-giver guy. So thanks a lot. So Carlee, you're marketing manager for these guys?
I am.
I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas area. And
she knows you.
Christian
I know.
For those that don't know, but I have a team in a brokerage here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and it's been a transition recently. We've lost a few agents. We've actually decreased our size even more. We're extremely small, but we're doing that thing where we're taking this information, we're building from here with the things that we actually want to do.
Right.
And I think that's the key for what I hear over and over right now between you and Eddie, Gary V, and everybody is go all in on passion. And Carlee, give me an example of what you guys are doing right now that's a passion of yours specifically. Like, is there like a project in play where you're trying to capture more agents that are a specific type? Or is it that you're really just reaching out to clientele?
So my main focus currently is this side of the business. So running Christian social. I still run the marketing for Onyx Homes, but I have a VA who does so much work and she's incredible. But right now it's been hard. I've been on the team since March of 2021. So 3.5 years about. And for so long, like everybody on the team, Christian, our operations manager, whoever it's been, we've just been spread thin because we're a small business trying to make things work. And going to the scaling workshop with acquisition.com, like they told us, stop doing so much. Like, stop. You're never going to succeed anywhere if you're not focusing on what you're good at and what you want to do. And Christian knows, I know I'm way better at the organic side of marketing, branding, all of that. So we decided, where does our business come from? And Christian's not in production. Our business comes from all of the agents, some of them are on here, selling homes, working with customers, us recruiting them. So we decided our business as a leadership team is actually agents, and then the agents' business is their clients. So after probably 6 months, maybe a year of having that discussion, we decided to go all in on it. My passion is probably social media and branding. I already had the opportunity to fully rebrand our company, which was a great opportunity for me. So the next step was building up Christian's brand, and that's what I'm doing right now. I think the first time we filmed was like July 8th, somewhere around there, July 10th. Content, we filmed a whole month of content in one day. And on Thursday, we'll be filming the next month of content, and you'll continue to see that come out more and more. And my passion and my goals there to hopefully build up his accounts, build our team, and then build this community too to help real estate agents across the country, if not across the world.
So Christian, has your schedule kind of opened up a little bit better since you started honing in? Or is it just is it about the same?
No, it's definitely opened up. It's allowed me to spend more like one-on-one time with different agents, different types of conversations. But it's also narrowed what I'm even doing. To piggyback on what Carlee said about what we're doing with my brand is agent facing, because that's the stuff that I like. I don't think I could talk about, I don't know, 5 home buying tips for the rest of my life and doing tours of properties. Like, I don't even sell anymore. It would just be so ingenuine, I feel like, to try to generate more business for consumers. Like, for consumer side of the business. Like, don't get me wrong, we still do it. Like, I'll make content for as long as I have to generate leads for our agents. Like, right before this, I was just filming for our All About Orange County YouTube channel. That's only focus is to generate leads and people moving to Orange County, right? So like, we still do that, but I think I had a realization while we were there, but it was also like I felt this way for a long time, and it just gave me permission to do it. Is probably the best way to explain it. Is when we had a small team, whatever small means to you, but when we had like 15 agents on the team, and I did a training, and there's 3 people there, I was like, man, that was such a good training. I felt like the 3 people there got a lot out of it. Whatever. And it was like, what if there was 30? What if there was 50? Right? Like, what if there was 500 people on a stage? What if we recorded something and hundreds of people watch it? Right? Like that whole mindset was kind of to go back to what you had originally asked. Like, why do we do this? Like, I don't think it hurt. Like, almost everybody on here is a member of our team. I don't think it's hurting them to learn the stuff that we just went out and spent a ton of money to learn. Right? Like, Dylan's brand new to the business. In the last like 6 months, he's already crushing. And I don't think it's going to hurt him to learn that we just went and paid a ton of money for someone to tell us to work harder. Like, that's the truth. But yeah, that was the thing that for me, it gave me permission to like be more of who I am, but also, all of the agent facing content that we're making is just as much to train our agents on how to do things as it is to recruit more agents to the team to do the things we're already talking about. And I think that's something that we realized on that thread of content is that's a win-win, and it's a win for, I don't know where the hell John's at, but if that's a win for John and Eric and anybody else here that's not a part of our team, like, that doesn't hurt at all. That's great. What's up, John? Anybody else have anything they want to ask or us to go deeper on?
I just also have a point. Christian and I, for so long, the only conferences we were going to were real estate focused conferences. And as much as they were great, they were getting repetitive in the information that we were consuming and spending money on. So whether this is somewhere you're going or content you're consuming, I tell this to our agents all the time as well. Start following other people, business people who are doing other types of content to see what's working. Real estate on the internet, such a small sliver of what the algorithm is and what people like. And I think going to this workshop is a great example of it, like learning more business than learning what's working in real estate was really eye-opening.
Hey, Dylan, do you ever go to those conferences for real estate?
I have not.
You going to Summit?
No.
Come on, man. Are you going, Eric?
I'll
No,
learn.
it's in my backyard, and I'm not going either, Dylan.
You're not going?
No. I got a lot to do at the foundational level, like the basic level. I don't necessarily need more. You know.
For reference, can you share how many homes you're going to sell this year?
You suck. My goal is 63 this year. I'll probably hit it.
Impressive.
And that's guys, I'm the guy that likes production. We know a couple of these guys, especially around Sheplac, where they have giant teams and all the things, but they don't really run their teams. They go out and sell houses still because that's what their passion is. Like Carlee was saying, you got to find that passion. And Dylan, how long have you been doing this?
About 5 months.
Just keep that thing off of mute. That's all I'm saying. All right. So about 5 months. And how's things going? What's your biggest problem right now?
Probably just getting my own leads. I mean, we have Zillow that's connecting me to great people, and that's my first deal that's closed. So just finding people who are actually like out in the market searching.
I'm gonna give you a warm fuzzy. Everybody on this call has the same problem you do right now.
Yep.
So nobody on this call is better than you. And congrats on finding an amazing team, that's for sure.
Right next door.
Literally. That's funny. If anybody else has anything, just jump in. So I'm gonna jump in. I got 4 other bullet points that I'll share on. What do we have time wise? So what did I put this for, an hour?
We have like 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Cool. The one thing that I really liked that went alongside with the more better new framework, that went alongside with finding the constraint, was this was actually the very first thing they talked about. And they talked about what it takes, or what makes a very good CEO. And they said the best CEOs think of large companies, think like investors, and they're investing resources, not like in the stock market. Right. So a CEO, any business at any level, Apple only has so many resources, right? We, like Carlee mentioned, we only have so many resources. So the what led to pulling myself and Carlee out of paid ads, hiring an agency, paying a lot of money, and like letting them do what they do, was coming to the realization of what Carlee said is spreading very thin. But the principle behind where we got there was that we only have so many resources, and it's my job as the owner, CEO of the company, to allocate the resources. Right. So before, I took Carlee as a resource and spread her really thin through every part of marketing. And then reallocating, I took all of Carlee and plugged her just into the one, maybe a second spot, where it's a way better outcome from it. So it was thinking like a CEO, investing your resources, whatever your resources might be. Again, if you're a salesperson, your time is your resource, right? Your leads that you do have coming in is your resource. So that was number one. And then on that was solving the right problem the right way. So Dylan mentioned lead generation. Eric mentioned lead generation is solving the right problem the right way. So this might be a good point as well too. So Carlee and I went into this workshop, and one of the questions, I had to fill out a questionnaire. One of the questions was, if you could only ask Alex one question, what would it be? So I sat there for like 3 hours thinking, oh, this is a good question. And I'm like, I know what he would say. Damn it. And then I like made notes, gave myself a little coaching call. Okay, next question. Like, I asked another one, like, okay, this is the one I'm going to ask him. I'm like, fuck no, I know what he would say there too. And I got down to the one takeaway from that was like, you already know what you need to do, just do it. The second part of that was, we get into it, and the question that I was going to ask is, at what point is a single channel, like Dylan mentioned, Zillow is like 40% of our business as a company. At what point is that like a huge, massive problem? And we thought it was, honestly. We thought, as much as we love our partnership with Zillow, we thought that was a problem, because like there's a lot of uncontrollables there. There's a lot of brain damage dealing with Zillow. And we very quickly realized, shit, we don't have that problem at all. Like, most of the businesses there had 80 or 90% of their business coming from one thing. Right. A lot of again, pulling this back to real estate agents, like a lot of real estate agents are 100% past clients and referrals. Like, there's no lead acquisition outside of that. Right. Eric's a good example, and still makes a shit ton of money. Right. So that was one interesting thing, as we came away thinking, we went into it thinking this was the problem we needed to solve. And the mindset that I started with, of sell more, make more money, generate more revenue, of 10x the business. Like, Carlee and I just looked at each other about halfway through the first day, and we're like, that's not the problem. Like, if Zillow sent us 10 times more leads, we'd be like, okay, we'll figure it out. Like, give us 90 days. We'll be ready. And we were like, well, shit, that's not the fucking problem. But what was the problem is, for us, it was lead gen. And the bottleneck was Carlee and I not knowing how to do paid marketing. So we bit the bullet and put a shit ton of money aside and hired an agency and said, we're going to do this for a year. And if it still doesn't work, we're going to find somebody else to do it. But that allowed Carlee to move over. That allowed us to hire this other company. We have lead gen coming in. The early signs of it look good. We're like, 60 days into this or something like that.
Yeah.
But that all stemmed from reallocating resources. We took money out of recruiting and put it into ad spend. We took Carlee out of paid ads, put her in content marketing, which is working better than it ever has. We took me out of a lot of other shit and just put me into making sure that everything's running the way that it should on the marketing and sales, but like content and like plowing back into our agents with anything that could be valuable for them to sell more houses. So that was the major. There's a lot of things in there, but it was thinking like a CEO and investing your limited resources for your own individual business.
And I just have one thing to say. Yeah. We were talking about a lot about content and doing what you like to do, whatever. Another thing is, I would say both Alex and Layla, I think people like them so much, obviously, because they're successful, but because they are truly themselves. Like going to this conference and hearing them talk and just talking normal instead of trying to be someone else. Every time Christian and I sit down to film, I'm like, be as blunt as you want, be yourself, cuss, do what you want, because if you're not doing that, you can read through it. So if you're going to start making content, or even when you're with your clients, like if you're yourself, you're going to be connected with the people that want to be connected with you. And that goes for our team, it goes for clients, it goes for content, really across the board. It's probably a rule in life. It's not the easiest to always do, but I really think that's a huge reason Alex and Layla are so popular. It's just because they are themselves. Online, in person, everywhere they are, they're the same person.
Yeah, my last point I'll leave with was Dylan. You brought up lead gen. We talked a lot about lead gen. This is one of the major metrics that they look at in any business is what does it cost to acquire a customer. And as a real estate agent, we're lucky in this business to have a lot of free lead gen. Right, we can do open houses, we can go door knocking, we can cold call. Like there's some cost to cold calling and things of that nature, but there's a lot of no cost lead generation that just flows into more better. But as far as cost per acquisition with some of our agents that are, I'll say like higher up, like Eric, this is a conversation you and I have, is like how much advertising does it cost to get a deal, right? And once you know that number, let me share something because we're on the Zillow Flex program, but I was talking with I won't say his name, but I was talking with an agent on Instagram, and he's a very good agent, like very, very good agent. It was on a team and branched off and is trying to start his own team. He just gave me his numbers and he's running Zillow market-based pricing. So he's paying for his leads and he's paying $825 per lead and converting at 6%. And this is the formula for it. I don't have a slide or anything, but your formula is you take your cost per lead, so 825 divided by 6% divided by 0.06. So it's costing him $13,750 to do a deal on Zillow. And this is something I talk about with team leaders. This is something I probably don't remind our agents enough of is we look at splits, we look at whatever. Like if this guy's average price point's $1 million, he's probably making $22,000 a deal GCI before any broker split. So let's say he's making home 20. So he's making about 20% of that deal, 30% of that deal maybe. Is his split after customer acquisition cost. And this is why I brought up the free shit earlier is we know how to generate leads. We know how to go out and do open houses, plug in signs, right? You go spend $2,000 on signs or whatever it is. You spend money on mailers, figure out what it is, but figure out how much money you have to spend in order to find a deal. And then if it's profitable, do it. Like there's no, like our story of starting the team Onyx Homes, we're doing a series on how we built Onyx Homes. We built it on the credit card. Like I did open houses until I was too busy to not do open houses anymore. And we started spending $1,200, $2,500, $5,000, $7,500, $12,000, $20,000, and we got up to $25,000 a month on Zillow. And those numbers aren't too far off. I was investing $10,000, $15,000 per deal. And what I was doing was building a past client database, but I actually making sure that I knew that. right? I knew that I was reinvesting all the money back into the next deals, building up past clients. But I thought that was one other thing that I don't know why, but I was surprised how much they harped on knowing what your customer acquisition cost is. So for the newer agents in here, take advantage of free for as long as you have all the time to do it. And for the experienced agents on here who are thinking I need to go spend some money to do a deal, that number is wildly important. Is figuring out what's your cost per lead and what's your conversion ratio, and then just understanding what is your total cost to acquire a customer, and looking at it from there. And that's something that we look at all the time. Is like I said our YouTube channel earlier. So we've generated a couple of deals from our YouTube channel in the first year, probably something like $60,000 in commissions in the first year. And if you took my time, Carlee's time, as much as we paid out to video editors, and actually put a dollar amount, like it's free, but if you actually put a dollar amount to all of that, like I don't know how far off we are from $60,000. It depends what you put my hourly rate is. Carlee's expensive, uh, and then all the video editing and everything. So that is one way to look at things as well too. If you're running mailers, if you're doing farming, if you're doing whatever, that customer acquisition cost is kind of the last thing that I wanted to share as well too. Because I know a lot of people look at a lot of people on our team are talking about team. I want to get away from team leads. It's like great, free. That's the direction that I'd highly recommend going until going back to the pricing of your commission. If you're making more money per deal, you're going to have a way easier time spending money than if you have a lower commissions. But so last few minutes, whatever questions you guys have, and then we'll hop off.
Hey, Christian.
So John,
I'm just curious. I missed the first little bit. Of the
you're good. We
things.
recorded it.
All right. Sorry if I'm asking you something to repeat yourself, but what are you finding in looking at recruiting agents and building your company? Like I'm after post-COVID, kind of not shut down my business, but got rid of the people who didn't want to shift their bad habits back to how we used to. We used to be a prospecting-based team. Everyone came in the office every morning. We had role play, and then we had bills. We're setting appointments. 21, we sold 173 houses, and then like the bad habits caused a lot of problems in 22, then 23, and so people who weren't on board with changing, we got rid of them. And that led to more people leaving, which was fine. In hindsight, I should have gotten rid of everyone. But looking back, ground zero starting, what do you think the most effective way to start building? And what are the characteristics you're looking for in agents?
The Chet Black says this quote all the time: is you cannot make anybody productive, but you can create an environment that makes people want to be productive, right? So like if you looked back at that culture you had before of like kind of call center style, everyone's on the phone in the office dialing for dollars, hitting the bell when they set appointments, whatever, like that was a culture that you had created. And if that's what you want, like that's your culture, right? So what I'm looking for in an agent is probably different than what you're looking for in an agent. Or like I should say it differently, is like an agent that would join me might not join you, and vice versa, right? Which is fine. But as far as I'll give you a story as a history lesson for agents on our team that don't know this, but when I took over running our business in 2021, we had 45 agents on the team, and in December and January we had 16. And I fired one agent. And what happened was we looked at the roster of 45 agents and we realized we had just hired anybody that would join. And it wasn't working, go figure. And what we ended up doing was we put in standards and benchmarks. And we just looked at our whole roster of agents and we said, okay, what are all of these successful agents doing? And for us, it was We use the 20,000 points inside of Follow Up Boss. I won't go down that rabbit hole now, but you can message me directly and we can go through that. But we had a benchmark for like the minimum amount of work that was required to like be like how we do business, be a part of the team. And then we had another report as well too. So like for our agents on our team now that have joined more recently, I stood up at a team meeting. I'm like, hey guys, we fucked up. Like what we've been doing is obviously not working for most of the agents here. So we're going to go ahead and implement standards. It's going to be a change. And like, this is our bad. If you don't like the changes, like there will be absolutely no hard feelings. Just let me know and you can go join another team. And we implemented, our benchmark now is 20,000 points. We implemented a 10,000 point benchmark for the first month and everybody fucking cried. I mean, everybody cried except for the top producing agents because they were doing, 50,000 points a month actually selling houses. And in the next 30 days, I don't know, whatever the math is from 44 to 16, all but one quit. And I only had to fire one person that just didn't want to quit on their own. And from there, fast forward 8 or 9 months later, we had a totally different culture of productivity. Like if you plug, like Rob's new to our team, Dylan's new to our team. If they saw a flash of what 2021 our team looked like versus now, they'd be like, whoa, this is wildly different. So one, it takes, like, that's our story, right? One, it takes time. For us, it took about 8 months. But how many agents do you have right now, John?
I'm down to 4 now.
Oh yeah, I would be like, hey, I fucked up. This is what we're doing now.
This is
you want to do
did.
it? If not, great.
That's exactly
Good.
what I did in November last
Yeah.
year. We had our team advance, and I just laid out like where we started, where we got to, and where we're going, and why. And then I had individual conversations with everyone about being in the foxhole. Like, look, this is the time.
Yeah.
Make it or break it. And I'm not interested in people half in, half out. And it didn't take much time for a ton of people. It was like 12 people left. So
yeah.
And I'm
so if
happy.
You're asking how you recruit, was that your other second part of the question?
Yeah. Like, what are you finding the most effective?
I'd put a job posting, or laughing because he's heard this so many times.
Yeah.
I'd go on Indeed, make a job posting, understand that your job posting is a advertisement, not a job posting, and like literally spell out exactly why somebody would join you.
Okay.
And like be specific, right? Because if you want somebody to sit down and hit pound the phones, cold call all day long,
yeah,
then say that, right? Yeah. Like here's the expectation. Like here's what we give. Here's the expectations. Here's what you get in return. If this sounds great, apply. And like I play with that. So for the last, 2 years, we've always ran 2 different job postings, and it was just which one worked better. And when one worked better, we got rid of the one that sucked and then made a new one, and then constantly tried to find the one that worked best.
Okay.
But just understand, like we literally just talked about the customer acquisition cost. It's the same thing for recruiting an agent. Like, what does it cost you to recruit somebody to your company? And then you should make more money than that, or it doesn't make sense, right? If it costs you $50,000 to get an agent to join you and they don't sell anything, well, that's not a good business, right?
Right.
But that'd be my advice: is do a job posting first. We make a lot of free content that certainly doesn't hurt. We have a handful of people a week that apply. Just I found you on Instagram, found me on YouTube, whatever. But like that's a year later on agent facing content. But it sounds like your background's outbound prospecting, cold calling.
That and internet leads, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Indeed is just like a internet lead or a Zillow lead or whatever. And if you're, cold calling an agent's no different than cold calling a consumer, just a different script.
All right. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, but make sure you figure out, like, as you're going through it, figure out what that customer acquisition cost is for sure.
Yeah. All right.
And also one thing that I'll just kind of leave that conversation with this is it really helped us, like, being really clear on standards, like what they actually are. As opposed to like, oh, Christian's a jerk because he paused me. It's like, no, dude, you didn't hit 20,000 points. Sorry. Like, that's the rule. Don't be mad at me. Yell at Darren. He sent you the email. That helps.
All right.
Cool. Anybody else before we hop off? Going once, going twice. Sold?
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, of course. Carlee's going to put up the recording, so John, you can watch that. You probably have it up tomorrow or today, later today, Carlee, I imagine.
Yeah, on how long it takes to download and all of that.
Cool. Yeah, if you want to go any more in depth on any of this stuff, then want to reach out in a group setting, you can send me a message, direct message, throw a post in the community as well too.